Hi guys, Dan here. Yesterday I did a bit of a talk about topographic maps, and we used an example called Gold Mine Road, not far from where I live, so I'm just taking the opportunity to come and have a look. I just wanted to talk through some of the points that we were discussing yesterday in a real life scenario. So firstly, just over my shoulder, there's the sign, so Gold Mine Road. And then we can see here, just over my shoulder, that there's a cattle grid where my car is, and then there's a fence. So it doesn't show on the map, but there is a fence here and there's a cattle grid. So this road is a small vehicle track through someone's property, but it's also right away to other properties, as you can see on the map. I just want to talk about the landscape at the start. We were talking about it slightly uphill, then levelling off, and if you have a look up there, it definitely does go slightly uphill, then it levels off. We mentioned that there was a stream down to our left, no more than 20 metres lower than the level of the track, and you can see it's down there in the bush. I drove over that bridge, which we also talked about. We took a bearing to that bridge on the map. It's in the trees, you can't see it from here, so theoretically we wouldn't be able to take a bearing to it necessarily, but it's through there and the creek's down there. So as we're walking up this track, we would theoretically have our creek to our left, and it'll be about 15 metres lower down than our level, and probably about 300 metres away. The other thing too is, it's afternoon, it's about 5 o'clock, so I'm facing the start of the walk now, and I've got the sun right behind me. That's exactly what we thought. I took a compass bearing as well. On the very beginning of the track, the first 30 metres or so, it's not actually, it's more towards 100 magnetic, then it swings around towards 90, about 30 metres in. Now that little kink can probably be seen on the map, because 30 metres doesn't really show. It's literally about the thickness of a pencil line. Vegetation down there in the creek. Now I remember yesterday we were looking at three types of vegetation. There was cleared ground, there was 20 to 50%, and then there was 50 to 80% cover, and then there was more than that. So we had the middle category. I think it was actually 20 to 50% down there, and that looks right to me, about 20-50% crown cover. And then we had a second type of category, which is about 20% crown cover, up to 20%, which is sort of what we're looking at there. And then we had also cleared land as well. The very beginning of this has a little bit of cleared land directly to the right of where the track starts, and that's what we can see, this little clearing over here, this little paddock here behind just the trees that are in front of us. So we're matching the map really well with our observations here. So this is how you'd start a hike. You drive up, we've got a sign, we've got a direction, we've got the sun behind us as we expected to confirm our direction. We've got a creek crossing, we've crossed the bridge, we've got all our vegetation mapping as well. We've got a sign that literally says the road. So we're pretty sure, I'm very confident where I am, put it that way. So might just jump in and drive up that road, see where it goes. Alright, so come up the track about 100 metres or so, not even that, and you can see over my shoulder here, it's a bit hard to tell here, but we've got hill up to our right as expected, gully down to the other side as expected, and it's all flattened off. So we're following, as I was saying, sort of, I use the word horizontally, but we're going along level for this stretch here, and then we'll start the climb again. Remember, we've got to go across one creek, two creeks, and then at the third creek there'll be a fork in the road, and we're going to take the right hand fork, and then we're going to go up to a dam from yesterday's talk, and everything at the moment's matching fine. Hi guys, just come up the track a bit. We crossed one creek, crossed two creeks, and there is a fork in the road here. The creeks aren't as obvious as they might seem on the map, so there's some dams and low points, and there's also some guys just baling hay, and they've got a pile of cattle around. I don't want to disturb them, but I've come up as far as to the junction now, and there's a left hand fork and a right hand fork, and I'd have to go up to that dam. The dam would be up the hill there, up here, but this guy's working, I don't want to disturb him. But yeah, but pretty much the whole area, apart from one thing I will say, is the creeks here. Creeks are a lot less conspicuous than you'd normally think, and just something to keep in mind. It's actually a really good point, is that watercourses may look simply a slightly lower part of the ground. Now it's an obvious point, but they're marked equally on the map, but they're nowhere near equal when you actually get there and have a look. Right, I'm going to head back out now, going into the sun as would be expected for travelling west this time of day. So there's a dam down there, and there are no dams marked on that side of the road on the map. So just be aware, the map isn't always right. Right, and I think just in addition to that, there's two reasons why those dams might not have been there. They might not have been there because it's possible that the dam was put in after the map was made. It's also possible that there's a lot of tree cover there because it's in that 50 to 80% crown coverage category. It's possible that the dam wasn't visible on a satellite image, and these maps are made off satellite image or aerial photographs as a base. So people don't come out and ground truth everything. They ground truth some things, but it is possible that things get missed, and that's actually said on the map. There's a bit of a disclaimer for that. Another point I just wanted to make out was that you can just see, I'll just get out, but you can just see this creek. This is the first creek, and I must admit that I didn't notice it, but that's because I was driving, not walking. So over my shoulder here, and if you look over my shoulder up under the trees there is a creek there. It's a very, very minor creek. It's dry, there's nothing in it, but it's you can tell it's a creek. But to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that even made it on the map, but yeah, you could call that a creek. So you just be careful that creeks aren't always creeks, and the blue line on the map doesn't, they're not always equal. And another thing worth pointing out is yet again over my shoulder here, down in the trees there, that's where the bridge is. So on the map we were able to theoretically calculate the bearing to that bridge. In reality, you can't see the bridge, and that's because the forest is too dense. And they're the sort of things you just don't know until you come out and have a look, because, or you jump on Street View maybe, that wouldn't come up here, but you can't tell from the top how dense the timber is at the base. And these trees are very closely packed together, and if the woodland was more mature, if it wasn't regrowth like this is, if the trees were thicker, you could have the same crown coverage for less tree trunks, which means you can see further through the trees. So all I'm highlighting here is that you can get a good idea in the map, like we did, got a really good idea, and all of the topography matched. We knew we were going in the right direction, we knew we were at the right intersection, we knew there was a creek to our left, a hill to the right. Okay, things that didn't necessarily present themselves obviously was that there was the first creek, the one that just over my shoulder, that first creek wasn't very obvious, and it's a bit marginal as to whether you call it a creek. So that was one that wasn't was something that was a little bit unexpected. The other thing that was a little bit unexpected was two dams on the northern side of the road to our left that weren't marked on the map, immediately to the side of the road. That was unexpected, and otherwise everything else is pretty well expected. So just highlights that no matter how much preparation you do, you should always do as much preparation as you can. You'll always come across some unexpected things that aren't on the map, or that aren't what you expect. And it's just being aware, being adaptable, and notice those things. You know, you don't want to go on a hike and just be oblivious to the fact that a whole pile of reference points weren't there. If something's not there, you've got to make sure, is it not there because it's a new dam? Is it not there because it may have not made it onto the map because you couldn't see through the tree cover? Or is it not there because I'm in the wrong place? So you got to make those judgments at the time.